This is totally upside down.
Hello and welcome, my wonderful hobby peeps and friends out there. Happy Wednesday. I'm going to do another paint and chat. I have a model I'm going to paint, but more importantly, I have a friend who actually paints over. Hey, Flo.
Hello.
What are you working on today? What's this fine fellow?
That's a Necron.
A Necron warrior?
Yeah.
It's little.
One of the many
Little
items
coffin
that's
shield.
just kind of been hanging out there, not getting painted for a while.
We all have our backlogs of shame, but that's okay. We're getting through it.
It's not just my backlog of shame anymore. It's mine and DJ's backlog of shame.
Well, Frontline, I think, you can actually, like, sell your models back. Their unpainted collection for credit. But anyway.
I don't think he will ever do that.
No. I'm a model hoarder as well. That's the other side of that. And I think that's pretty common in the hobby world, too. It's like, yeah, I've got this backlog of stuff, and it's going to take me forever to paint. And it's like, well, why don't you get rid of it? And you're like, because it's mine. Why would
I bought it for a reason.
I bought it because I wanted it, not to give it away later. Then we have, shelves of shame become closets of shame, become storage rooms of shame.
You saw that it was a closet of shame. Yeah, you have a closet of shame.
I did. I love, but you know what? I'm not ashamed of my shame. And you shouldn't be either.
I'm ashamed of DJ's shame.
Oh.
Just because it's not mine.
Well, welcome to everybody in the chat. Let's say a quick hello to everyone. Shale, appreciate you being here. War Budgies, always good to see you, man.
Hello.
Thomas, welcome to the chat. Austin, good to see you, man. Let's see. It's consuming. War Budgie's just consuming a chicken sandwich like a goblin with its last meal. We got to eat like about 5 minutes before the stream started.
Chicken.
All the chicken, that's right.
All the chicken.
Mandragora, hello and welcome. Kenneth Bunce, welcome. What up, hobby peeps? Just hobbying around? This is
Just doing the hobby thing.
doing the hobby thing. Jeremy, hey man. I saw his model. He had sent me a completed model earlier. It was really cool looking. I'll have to show it to you after.
Okay.
Paul, as always, my amazing and wonderful moderator, stays up till the wee hours of the morning. I'm lying. He's up anyway. Let's be real. But I appreciate it. War Budgies, that's a weird convergence model. Ha ha ha. It's the new direction they're going with Warcaster. Let's see, the dice goblins are breeding? Nice. And yes, Jeremy, I know you have no shame. Illyrian, hey man! Uh-oh. You've had your hair done. Oh, thank you. Yes, I've had it done. It has a specific purpose, but, that is neither here nor there. All right, so I am just still working on this fellow because he is a little bit chunky, and I'm not super fast. And then Miss Flo, I was working on a Necron warrior. And do you know what color scheme you're going to go with yet on that guy?
He's blue.
Blue?
Blue.
Blue.
Metallic blue. Forced metallic blue, because I'm not using metallics.
Electric blue. He's
The electric boogaloo.
Electric. Oh, goodness. No.
It's gone now.
No. And a great hello to the Queen. Oh, and Miranda and her fellow enchantress. My goodness.
Oh.
I wish more people introduced me like that. Hi from Vancouver, painting Deathwatch over here. Nice. The Spaztech. What up, nerds? Oh, just hanging out. Just putting some paint on models. And
We're productive nerds.
relatively productive nerds, indeed. What are you guys all working on tonight? Like I said, I've got my little Kadoran Greylord Forged here. We've got a Necron over there getting painted. Do a couple of a few progress checks as we progress through the night here. And, this is still technically a hobby channel, even though I generally just fall to talking about movies and pop culture. But whatever.
That's what I'm here for.
He's Blue Dabu. Di Ba Do Da. Oh my goodness, why is that so hard to read?
Blue da boo dee ba da 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 boo dee da boo da. I got it.
Those are the lyrics to that song? There's lyrics to that song? I just thought they were musical.
I got you. I got
sounds.
you.
Yeah, Flo knows what you're talking about. Let's see, Kenneth. Painting a dark Kraken army. Kraken. Wayma. That must be pretty cool. Let's see here. Austin, I'm assembling bits and pieces to Prefect Hypatia kit bash. Wow. That sounds complicated, but I'm sure you know what you're doing. Greetings from sad Poland. Oh no, don't be sad. War Budgies, Blighted Trollkin, equal parts wacky and sinister. Yeah. Blighted Trollkin. I don't think you ever get to work with the Gobbers or any of that either, huh? Let's see, Mandragora, when I got the Chaos Knight Desecrator, last one, I told myself, I will not even open this until I've finished my 40k backlog, ... Yeah. How's that going for you? Lauren, I cleaned the hobby area. I'm gonna make a start on a Technoman blade model. Similar scale to a Gundam. Like the Gundams are pretty decent size. Well, that's pretty cute. Man, you guys are so productive when I'm gone. I'm kind of jealous. Shale, turns out my lethargy last time was due to the plague. File me in the COVID survivor category. Continuing work tonight on my Exalted.
This one.
You and me too, Shale. Got it back in February. My taste is almost back. It's okay. I won't bother you like I bother literally every other human with the very daily updates on my sense of smell. But glad you are all right. So for my part in this, I'm going to see if I can get the one little patch of skin on his face painted, the only part on his entire body in which skin shows. Because those Kadoran winters are really cold. And, you know, he's running around in battle. He probably doesn't want to actually have, like, any part of his face hanging out. Yeah, it's an understandable.
Probably not.
Understandable decision to make. So I'm just trying to get my layers on here. What have we been up to over the last couple of weeks? Since we last live streamed,
It's been like a month since I've been here.
Yeah, you ended up, you were really tuckered out last time. I don't think you were able to make it for the last one, right?
No.
Yes, okay. I'll only hold it against you for a little while longer. She bought me dinner, so I guess I can't complain anymore. Food fixes all things. So yeah, I'm just getting the layers on here. But,
Kiss.
my dear
Kiss.
hobbying habits are just pretty much schizophrenic anymore. So I have been working on not only modeling and miniature painting, which is the thing I do when I'm hanging out with you wonderful, awesome people, but I've also been I've also been sewing costumes. And lately, in the last couple of weeks, I've been working on working with, to a minor extent, servo motors and servos to develop animatronics. So that's a whole brave new world. Have any of you guys ever messed with that stuff? It's so crazy. And one of the things that I've found that has been like kind of the most amazing thing is how plug and play everything is. Like, it's so intimidating to start until you start. Yeah, but, you know, like most things, you probably haven't learned how to do it until you actually just go in and start spending money, and you're like, oh, this is how this works. And it's been fascinating. I barely know anything about it. But the parts that have
come together.
Yeah, like it works relatively easy, and I just get so motivated when something works. Because, you know, there's plenty of times when you're trying to do something, you know, build a computer, install complicated software, you know, even sewing a garment, and you put stuff together and you're like, that doesn't work. Nope, this is not my friend today. Sometimes assembling models, although I've gotten pretty dang good at that. So, multitude of so-so hobbies in the last couple of weeks. By the way, Ashley says, hi, I need that tea. I know, I'm actually going to reach out to her this weekend because I know a place that we could probably go. And I'm going to take her to dinner. I'm not going to, like, just do tea. I think we need to hang out and have a good, solid girl chat. Austin, it's alive. No idea what I'm doing. That's my day-to-day. I understand. Thomas, just primed up some models for Circle Boros, Warpborn Skinwalkers, Brenos, Loki, Morgana, and Grail the Forest Rider. Ah, the Circle models are so pretty. Although I do enjoy all of the filigree on my Dear Greylord Forged here too, so I've been very pleased with this model so far, which I think is part of why I'm going so slow as I sort of chew my way through it, in addition to the distraction of reading comments and talking off topic, but whatever.
Because that's not normally a thing.
Morvana, the Autumn Blade. Also a really cool model, but man, you read her lore and she's just vile. She's just so mean. Spaztec cleaning and assembling Adventurers Guild models. Nice. More budgies. He protects the moneymaker. We understand. Mandragora. I've painted so much. Doc and Marty, Rick and Morty, 3 tank conversions, all my girl marines,
Rick and Morty.
and night pilot patches. Ooh, Houlihan. Goodness gracious, man. Austin, I used to run servos as employment. Servos for what? Animatronic work is amazing. Glad to hear. Yeah, I don't know how much I'll be in it. This is a temporary thing, but it is fascinating, and it's really great to because we have a good hobby store place here in town called Hobby Pros, and the guys there are very knowledgeable, like crazy. You know, when you go into those conversations where somebody clearly knows a great amount about a field and gets very excited talking about it until it talks way beyond your understanding of it. It's always really nice to see the passion, but there's a lot of that this weekend too.
It's nice to see the passion, but at the same time, you're like, I lost you about 15 minutes ago.
Well, but it's entertaining almost at that point,
I'm so glad you're happy.
Yeah.
It makes me happy. Even though I have no clue what you're saying.
Well, some clue, it's okay, you plug the servo into this thing. This thing can hold so many. Here's the little remote control. Now you're controlling this thing that's across the room wirelessly, and it's so fun! Let's see here. Stepper motors are usually better to start with. Okay, yeah, but that probably isn't quite accomplishing my function. Stepper motors, I believe, are all what are in my 3D printer. Let's see, Paul, I've been debating the new kill team rules. So unsure what to assemble yet. Wait and see. Yeah, I know. So the new kill team stuff sounds... From everything I've been hearing as told to me, it sounds like when the Age of Sigmar first dropped. The way they are explaining those rules. I'm sure it's not that disastrous. It just reminds me of that because they're doing away with points and there's counting stuff. Let's see. Jeremy, if the new kill team comes out before Valhalla, that'll be my next purchase. And paint, hopefully before I get there. Good lord, man. You're a beast of a painter, Jeremy. Albert Pedro Trias. Welcome.
Can I borrow some of your speed? Jeremy's speed.
Oh, yeah. Greetings from Florida. Hey, got a question for you guys. Do you ever find yourself in a funk sometimes regards to the hobby? If so, what are your methods of getting out of it? P.S. Love your stream. Okay, so part of it is actually streaming because, one, it's a social obligation, like having a gym buddy. And so even if you're not in the mood, you're like, yeah, but I don't want to let, X down. I don't want to disappoint anybody. So you do the thing anyway, and so there's that sort of external motivation to get you back into it. Because I always enjoy it whenever I'm actually sitting here doing it. It just can be kind of hard to motivate myself to go do. So I'm like, nope, this is my bi-weekly stream. I get in here, I'm hanging out. I do eventually get around to painting some stuff and then hang out. And it's always really enjoyable. And I always have way more energy after one of these streams than before even.
Yeah, and I mean, going to your local stores, your local board game shops, hobby stores, and like looking at painted models or seeing other people painting models and things like that, you know, that tends to kind of help get you excited. Even going and like looking at all the models, you're like, oh, I wish I could buy that one right now.
Do you think that can have a backfiring effect though? Like if you see like gorgeously painted models and you're like, I can't do that.
I never have that problem.
That's not a thing you deal with.
I don't know if you lesser beings have that problem.
Okay. Duly noted. So, what I'm hearing consistently is one, find inspiration. And have a social network if at all possible. Like, again, a painting buddy is always really good for that. The other thing that this is secondhand advice, so this is as I've heard other people talk about it, and I think it's probably appropriate, is if you're tired of the just hobbying aspects of the hobby, whatever element that is, which could be the gameplay, the modeling, or the lore, just go with one of the other three for a while. So you're just go play some games, or go sit and read the lore for a while to make, to remember kind of what you enjoy about it. And then if you're going a while without getting back into, we'll just use the example of painting, then at some point you just kind of make yourself go do it, because then there's just sort of this false aversion, which is a very thin barrier that is not too hard to break if you're just like, nope, just go do it, do the thing, and then you do it and you're like, okay, and you can get back into the rhythm of it.
You're like, oh, that wasn't nearly as bad as my brain was making it seem.
I have to do that all the time for editing videos. So, Paul, my robotics is just Python and board, low-key. Yes. Oh, Paul, I'll have to show you some of the cool stuff we're working on over here. Melinda, hi. She says hi. We have to head up to Denver. There's an amazing medieval fair that's going on up there for weeks, apparently. It's like every weekend for 6 weeks or 8 weeks or something. It sounds amazing. Excuse me. Brian Kerr, so busy painting Crucible Guard for the tournament this weekend. So ashamed I'm not taking Kador, though. That's okay. You can play the field a little bit. Just remember to come back to where your heart leads you, originally. Jeremy, unfortunately, I have a conference call. I have to join in 15 minutes. No worries, man. It's supposed to last till the stream ends. That's alright, man. I always appreciate hearing from you. Austin, I ran servo motors for CNC mills. One was 60 feet tall, and each column was 6,000 pounds. Okay, so you are working with something a lot more hardcore. I'm literally dealing with, like, little servos for little animatronics for, like, Muppet level stuff. So, far different weight limit. Although, it is a little bit confusing, because the servos that you buy, they usually say, like, 25 kg on them. And is that supposed to be, like, kilogram weight it can hold per... centimeter? It seems like it's always by centimeter versus inch from any of the ones that I've shopped.
That's because the rest of the world is on a different scale.
Minor things. I mean, you say that. Wargaming's in inches. All of it. GW, their measuring tapes are in inches.
Sorry, is that a American company?
GW, the British company? No.
Oh, I didn't... See? I wouldn't know.
No, GW is totally super British. And they have, like, actual... So much explained, right? Like, oh, that's why. Anyway. Nope. No, it always makes me laugh, because it's like, wait a minute. Are y'all metric everything? Never mind. It's just, no one cares. Let's see. Phil, I'm hyped to listen and paint more Citrus Marines in preparation for new kill team. Yeah, I heard some of the data cards got leaked, so I know people are getting pretty excited about those. Warbedy's Truth, hearing someone talk about what they're passionate about is universally fantastic, but is confusing sometimes. I think we all know that experience. Shale, if I had a choice between Morvana or Kruger, it'd be Morvana all the way. She might be a cruel, conniving, venomous witch,
But she's cool.
but at least she's competent and not in league with Blightergast. But they're not the only options in Circle of Boros. I mean, trying to think of some of the not just purely evil ones. Like, Circular Bros is kind of interesting because if you were to think of them on the D&D spectrum scale, they do really seem like almost true neutral, or probably just true neutral, because they just care about bringing balance. They, feel like civilization is causing too much danger and bringing, like, I think the Devourer Worm, and so they're anti-civilization, with the idea of it striking balance. And Morvana is just power hungry, so I don't know that she's necessarily even thinking long term of what is good for Circle of Boros. Not to say Kruger is either, although he probably is a little bit more better intentioned. Well, I say that. Blighterghast is no friend. Yeah, I'm not sure. It's a good question. Mandragora, Patches O'Houlihan, the wheelchair-bound coach from Dodgeball, an underdog tale. Oh. Mantic made him from a sci-fi coach model and making him from a Titan pilot. Alright, that's pretty sweet, man. Jeremy, I just paint to tabletop standard. Flo is way better at detail. And I work than I am. I ignore things that I don't think you're going to see from 3 feet away. Yeah, it's a little bit more my style.
I can't do it. I'm too detail oriented.
I know.
It's a curse.
You're very tunnel visioned with it. Hey, Cabin Knob here. Hey, Urban Still. War Budgies. Can confirm I never have more energy to paint and make videos than right after I post a video, which is occasionally frustrating. Joe, I miss the old Wargamer hangouts with Dan. Ugh, me too. Will we ever get them back? Love having these paint and chats while I write my paper. Oh, so Dan and I message back and forth every so often, but, since he's in Canada, we're not allowed to see each other until, I don't know, the foreseeable future. And he's works
crazy.
A lot. Yeah, he's also crazy.
He's crazy. He's always doing something.
He's my fan. Yeah, he's got a lot
I meant it in a good way.
I know. He's, he stays busy because he doesn't just do wargaming. Like, he'll go and get in some wargaming, and then he'll do frisbee golf, and then he'll go, when it was possible, travel to, like, Thailand. And he's just really hard to pin down, so, but I definitely hope to at least cameo him again in the future. So, you just remember that, Dan. Spastic, I went from this 3D printing thing, looks interesting, to 4 printers and starting a print service in 3 months. Dude, that's awesome. So, are you working with specifically resin printers or PLA printers? Or do you have like a mix of both? What kind of detail are you looking at? I know there's a 4K printer. I think there's like a 6K resin printer getting ready to come out.
Speaking of people getting really excited.
So, 3D printers are kind of magic. Like,
I'm not complaining. Like, we've got 2, we're getting a 3rd.
Yeah, so she's got the resin ones and I've got the PLA ones. So I do more of the large scale prototype kind of stuff, and then she's got fantastic tiny details. So many
minis.
Little bits of trade.
We had a closet full of backlog before, and now we also have shelvings full of 3D printed.
I know. Well, and I backed quite a few Kickstarters at this point where you can build models and send them as STL file for building on the print bed. So that's been nice. And then her and I get to overlap as far as our printing needs. I still need to pick up, and if you guys have a good recommendation, I'm totally open to it, because I've done a little bit of research, but I can't seem to find like a really solid, reliable 3D pen. I want one that I can sort of draw in 3D, but I'm actually looking at something that would be good. My theory is that if I have like canvas objects or foam that I'm needing to make look like armor or something like that, if I could 3D draw like a filigree on it or something like that, that it would stick to. So I just want something that would kind of accomplish that functionality, because then you just cover it over and paint it and all that, and it should have the effect I'm thinking would work. But I haven't had a chance to test it because I'm working on animatronics and sewing and painting these things sometimes. And then in the meantime, I've also been seeing movies. So I'll get to that in a minute. Let me catch up with the chat. Let's see here. But Spastic, that's awesome. Congratulations. I hope the service goes really, really well for you. Paul, watching streams gets me out of a funk, or painting a totally different model in another color scheme. Okay, yeah, I could see that, like just changing what you're doing. Dave, Doug, I'm still painting my 10 Bad Moon orc knobs. How's that for slowness? Progress is progress, my friend. I have a hand puppet that's old school robotics. Really? Austin, 25G is the frame size for the motor. The weight a motor can hold is calculated off the shaft of the motor. Are those the horns then, I think is what they call those? Because they have a few different shapes of, what I'm used to seeing is just sort of like the one, I don't know, little cursor shape, and then they have little, like T-shaped wheels. All progress is progress. Exactly. Randy even has a brochure from Warhammer World in Nottingham. I do, and I super love it. Jeremy, not all games are in inches. Rackham used centimeters for their games. A Song of Blades and Heroes, X-Wing plus Clones, Legion, and Armada use templates. Yes, there's inches and templates, and then occasionally centimeters, but very rarely. And a few other sci-fi use the metric system. Because even, like, Infinity is still inches. I picked these two warlocks because they should do cool things for the skinwalkers. Okay, that's fair. That's a valid point, Thomas. Baldur's a genuinely good dude. Grail is a well-meaning fool. And Kaya is not evil by any stretch. Yeah, Kaya's pretty honest. And I agree, Baldur's probably, like, the most benevolent. Or them resin printers can turn out some gorgeous stuff. Oh, I know. 4 Saturn 4K mono screens. I for sure didn't immediately print a Chaos Reaver Titan. No, not at all. I don't have a Imperial Reaver Titan downstairs for my 3D print, but at all. It's ridiculous. Who does that? Printing minis mostly for myself right now. Some for myself, some for sale. Mostly for myself. Can't stay up tonight, sadly, but y'all take care. See you soon, Miranda, Flo, and Florinda. I am. Thanks, Warbudgies. Good to see you.
Bye.
So yeah, what have I done? This last weekend, I watched two new movies. The first one was Old, which is the new M. Night Shyamalan movie. And the second one was The Tomorrow War, which is the Amazon, apparently $200 million budget movie with Chris Pratt and the huge CGI fest. And there are very different types of movies to see.
I didn't like the trailers for Old, so I was interested to hear what you thought.
Okay. Let me see here. Mandragoria. Always meant to ask Miranda, that Resin K's project you completed a few years back, you never went back to do a second. Was it interest, or did it turn out to not be sustainable? Oof. Those resin kits, let me see here. So we had a huge... I mean, the Kickstarter went really well. It was the first
Miranda
Kickstarter.
Is very, very allergic to the release agent.
I was very allergic to the release agent, but that wouldn't have necessarily stopped me. Like, I could find alternatives to that. But, like, it was a wonderful learning experience. It was our first Kickstarter, and it was a success. I'm very grateful for that. We had people waiting way too long to get their stuff because every single piece got hand-poured. I think we'd estimated about 5,000 individual pieces had been hand-poured by the end of that project by 2 to 3 people at a time working it. So I would come home from work and then do that for like 3 or 4 hours, go to bed. And I would do that like 3 or 4 nights a week and try to pack up stuff as we could. And we had to keep remaking the molds because the mold release, even though that kind of preserves the mold, and we were using Platinum Cure Moldstar 30, was still causing the mold to get rigid and brittle, and so we could only get so many pores out of it before that had to get remade, and that process took about a day because of the cure time for the silicone rubber to cure. So learned a massive amount about how that process worked. One of the biggest things I learned about how pouring resin works is that everybody's experience to it is unique, because we talked to a bunch of people who deal with pouring pouring resin, and we saw channels online about pouring resin, and everyone seemed to just have different interactions. Some used just some talcum powder as the mold release. That did not work for us at all. At all. So we just kept having like these problems we'd run into, and so we learned a lot, obviously, and got through it and got everything fulfilled. But it was so overwhelming as a workload for already working like a job and doing everything else that it really wasn't sustainable in that regard. So the only way I'd be able to really do that again would be to outsource that. And there's not really a lot of great options for that because resin pouring, it's cheaper in a lot of ways than obviously paying and getting like a plastic mold made, but it's very time consuming, and so there's a lot of labor costs in that. So at this point, I mean, and you can tell the entire market's moved toward individuals buy 3D printers and you send files to them, which seems like probably the more sensible way to go. But I love the project. I'm really still super thrilled about how it came out. It was kind of funny because it was during our fulfillment of that, I think, that the GW had come out with like a void shield generator, I think was what it was called. It looked very similar. Like, I don't think they knew who I was at all to care, but it was kind of funny where I'm like, wait a minute. But yeah, so that was my really long-winded answer to that question because it was quite a beast. And now I'm on a new beast. I'm still editing a TV show, so, you know, I tend to bite off more than I can chew. That seems to be my thing. Let's see, Jeremy Warbudgies, when are you going to join War God Printer Farm and be our East Coast branch? Sam, hey there. Have you looked into Conquest, The Last Argument of Kings? The models are really cool looking. Seems like something you'd like. I have not. So just called Conquest, The Last Argument of Kings. Strange title. I'm just going to throw that in a Google window for now. Oh, under Parabellum. Yeah. I remember seeing, I visited the Parabellum booth a few times, actually, at Adepticon. And they were always super nice to me, and very inviting. They set up the most beautiful dioramas for their booth. But the game itself, it always feels like a really beautiful picture, but I never got a sense of like how the lore or anything worked, so it didn't really quite draw me in that regard. Hello, Jack, no worries. Sorry you're late. That's okay. We're probably due for a progress check here though in a minute. It's been 30 minutes. I don't know if you're going to be able to see any of mine. I'm going to do my best. Okay, let me finish getting through this and then I'm going to snatch your model. Austin, I think at this point if you want to chat about motors and want tips, tricks, you should just hit me up on your own time instead of everyone else's. All right, that's fine. I've got your contact info. Jeremy, Conquest looks awesome. I'm looking at getting into Wardrun. So did the trailer old give too much away, or was it okay? Well, I think I only ever saw like half of one trailer, because the way I watch movies, if I see a trailer, and I'm watching that, right, and it seems like it's getting really interesting, I just sort of like put my head down and tune out for the rest of it, because I know trailers are designed to give way too much away, and so for me, I just know that and tune it out or change the channel or something to ignore it. And then I'm like, nope, I'm gonna go see it, whatever. So I don't know what the trailers looked like. I didn't see the trailers for any of the Black Widow movies. I think I may have seen one trailer for the Tomorrow War. What did you end up using for mold release? I've run out of my normal release agent and was thinking of using Pam. We never tried Pam. Tried talcum powder, and it was MAN 205, I believe was what we ended up working with, because there was MAN 200, which is like MANN 200, which is an aerosol release agent, very effective, and that was the thing I was like deathly allergic to. And then there's just the spray bottle form of it, so it's non-aerosol, and that was the 205. So we ended up using a lot of that, and I just had to dress up in like a, you know, as if I was at a murder scene, like total hazmat covering to keep that stuff away from me. Andrew, GW, no, you're into War Machine. They did it to spite you. Also, good evening. Thanks, Andrew. That'd be exciting. It's like, wow, they know my name, and they spited me. That's awesome. I mean, it takes some energy, you know? Busy, but I have a daughter with a busy schedule. I understand. thing about Conquest is that it scratches that old Warhammer Fantasy itch. See, I never did the old Warhammer Fantasy. Also seems a little like War Machine End Times. There's no War Machine End Times. Ignore the Infernals. Andrew, I have no idea what Dune is about from the trailers. I mean, you can watch the movie Dune and still not fully know what it's about, so that's fair. It's one of those... It's that type of sci-fi, I guess. And I don't have anything against Dune. I'm just not like a Dune fanatic, so... Hey, Kahneman, welcome. Good evening, Miranda and guest. This is the Painter Flo, my Painter Flo. She's not painting my model right now, but, you know, she's still my painter. Hi, Miranda. Good night.
You're models for me to paint.
Hey, Brian. Good to see you. I'm working on that. Whew. Let's see. Now, Conquest is more like Warhammer Fantasy Battle. Rank and Flink. All right. Progress track here.
You can't really see much because it's all very dark. But
Well, we'll do what we can. So you can tell that it is more blue than black now. Ta-da! Very subtle blue. What colors did you use?
So right now there is night blue and imperial blue on there.
There you go. So, ta-da for that. This guy, I've just been working on his cloak. So we're getting some gold on there. Actually, I'm kind of separating out his Greylord insignia from the rest of the model. His rank right there. Need to fill in the red on that little bit and then start highlighting the gold. Let's see, my progress hasn't been super exciting. It's a lot of copy plus pasta into my spreadsheet. Haven't looked at it for close to a week because I started having fever dreams about sentient rogue formula. But that was probably the COVID. Oh my gosh. Maybe read Dune. Yeah, it's on the list. Trying to think. I'm going through a bunch of like nonfiction right now, and it's like Dune sounds fun, but it's kind of not
Kind
super
of a
high up
different.
there. I'll get around to it. It's not like the movie vanishes after it's out. I take it you're a big fan, Brian. Let's see. Someone hasn't read Herbert's books. Nope, I have not. I still need to read. A lot of the good sci-fi authors. I'm way behind on those. I still need to read Richard Heinlein. And,
What's that?
which one?
Hitchhikers?
Yeah, Douglas Adams, like, he's a little silly for me, but, not bad at all. Queen's Pet. Hi! Still working on your, amazing, hamburger helper. I still really thought you were just saying you were making Hamburger Helper. I just didn't connect that it would actually be a model because why wouldn't it be a model? Chuck, hoping to. I have some magnetizing to do, but I think I'll just enjoy the stream. Let's see, I read Dune when I was like 11. It was a bit much. I should try reading it again. Yeah, I feel like those are probably books you do better reading later on in life. I'm assuming, anyway, it covers topics that an 11-year-old probably isn't super familiar with. The Dune novel is too epic to be adapted to a movie. The best way to experience it is the audiobook while building and painting miniatures. That's a good point. I've still never done like the whole Audible thing. Sorry for my late arrival. Please don't put it on my permanent record. Oh, I don't hold those things against people.
That
Yeah.
you know of.
No, not
That
tardiness.
they know of.
That they know of. That I know of either, most likely. Oh, goodness gracious. So, this Greylord Forged here has been a model I've had for quite some time. A couple years at a minimum, most likely. Keep having to remember that all of last year actually vanished. And, at first, when I got the model, I was really super intimidated by the crazy amount of detail in all of it, you know? This cloak is its separate piece. You really have to sub-assembly it just because it covers so much of the character himself. on the back side. We still kind of want to paint the back side and make sure those details are, you know, viewable if anybody actually looks. So I guess I'm not totally cheating when I paint. But the longer I've had it, the more I've been able to break it down more into components. Which I assume, is that what you do, Flo, as far as like highly detailed models? Because one of the models on your roster to paint at some point is the Silent King, isn't it?
Yes.
Oof. So that looks fun and epic and terrifying. Does it at all intimidate you?
Small pieces, small
Just-
bites.
Just break it down.
It's how I tackle most anything that looks intimidating.
Rules for life right there. That's finished. I'm making a Pillsbury Pillsbury Doughboy. Oh my gosh, what kind of army are you making? Dune is...
Stay Puff?
Oh yeah, Stay Puft Marshmallow. Is that one on the list? Dune is best read. Read Dune, Children of Dune, God Emperor of Dune, then stop, in my opinion. There's a quality drop after the author died and the son took over. Brian, it took me years to read Dune. My dad got it for me forever ago. But once I got through it, I've read it like 10 times. This movie should just be the first half. Well, and movie adaptations are always interesting, right? Because I don't
think
Dune
there's
has a
ever
lot
enough time to really encompass a book in a movie. It really should be broken down anytime they try to do that.
Like a mini series?
Yeah. I mean, I guess that would work.
Yeah. Oh, audiobooks are a great idea. I don't know, I might still do the audiobook. Like, sitting around reading Dune probably is not likely to happen too soon, so I'll have to see. Albert, hey Miranda, speaking of movies, I saw Black Widow, and I think David Harbour would be great as the Khadoran soldier. If War Horse ever gets a movie, he nails it. That accent. Yeah, he does a good job. He's,
I think it would be funny.
Yeah. He would probably... Well, okay, so David Harbour... Yeah, I guess he'd be kind of like a Winter Guard soldier. Because part of me was like, I don't know, would he be a Doom Reaver? But no, he's like straight up Winter Guard, yak, drinking soldier. But yeah, I think he'd do great. I would also love to see Florence Pugh as a Warcaster. She'd be amazing. Will Dune subvert expectations? Probably someone's. Totally agree with Shale. All of last year vanished. Nothing happened 2019. It's still there in my memory. Like, it's hard to remember stuff from last year. Let's see. Yeah, the Red Guardian in Black Widow is a fun character. The actor makes it work, I think. Let's see. I've read the original 6 Dune books. The first was the best. Poor Duncan, Idaho. Oh, Naz, I'm late. It's okay, James. You're welcome. It's fine. Let's see. The audiobook narrated by Scott Brick, Orla Cassidy, Juan Morton, Simon Vance, and Ilyana Kadushin is great. Okay. Who's that one? Well, I can probably find that. Okay, starting my massive paint images list under your announcement for today. Yay! How excitement. I love seeing the progress. I saw one trailer for Dune so far, and it looks like it's definitely trying to be very high sci-fi. I do worry a little bit about it possibly being pretentious, but I don't know. So I mean, I'll watch it. No issues or hang-ups there. Curious to see how they do it. But again, I've only seen the one trailer, and I am an outsider to the Dune world, so try not to hold it against me too much. Brian, sorry. Practically dramatized. The audiobook for Dracula is that way. It's just a delight to listen to. With the original Dracula. Okay, so what was I saying? Old. Yes. So this was an M. Night Shyamalan vehicle. Much in the vein of, kind of like The Visit. There's yes, is there a twist? It's M. Night Shyamalan. He does his take on a twist. And that part isn't necessarily as exciting, but like the concept idea of his story captured my imagination, I guess is the fairest thing to say about Old. I imagine that he had a dream of this story one day, and then he spent a lot of time trying to make a movie work to fit the feeling that that dream gave him. Because the movie itself does give you a weird feeling, like when something's wrong in a dream, something's off, and everyone's just going with it. And it's not necessarily horror, because it's not scary at all. But the concept is designed to be disturbing. So it mostly nails it. The ending felt like it definitely needed a little more, and I think he really struggles with filling plot holes. But if you're willing to go with it and go with the weird dialogue that I can only associate with M. Night Shyamalan writing, then yeah, it's kind of an interesting movie. And it felt like going and seeing a real just artistic movie as well. I love me some Marvel. I love me some dumb action films. I went and saw the new Fast and Furious, and that was ridiculous. But like, this was an approach at telling a story using cinema. And so I do have a little bit of a maybe stuffy appreciation for that. And so the fact that that was what that kind of story was very nice to me. Let's go back to the Mandragora. Speaking of Dune, Zombicide Invader made a Baron Harkonnen. Guess who I'm painting to be my Chaos Noble? Oh my goodness. Wolfshield, hello. Hi Miranda, when can we expect more War Machine game content from you? After I finish the Space Hulk content. War Machine content is probably going to be sometime after all of my Iron Kingdoms content is finally edited. Because that has gone up in priority. Austin, the whole chat is excited for Dune, and I'm over here in the corner excited for Breath of the Wild 2. I know! I still haven't bought a Switch yet, and I've been debating whether or not, I should listen to the rumor of there being a Switch Pro or just go all in. I have no business buying any sort of video game system until at least the end of the year anyway, so I have time. But yes, I need to play Breath of the Wild so bad, and then Breath of the Wild 2 looks also super amazing. These are the things that sing to my heart. Thank you, Austin.
I feel that over here. Quietly appreciating that.
The Spaz text. So looking forward to Dune. Dune has a very good director. And so you guys talk about that new Ghostbusters Afterlife trailer yet? No. If you guys haven't seen it, it's definitely worth taking a look at. I've seen the older trailer, so if there's one that's come out in the last month, I haven't seen it. But I know the one with like Paul Rudd and it's like the granddaughter of Egon, right? I believe. What a twist, right? Spaztech. I like Dune so much. I've seen the 80s Dune like 20 times. Huh. I mean, it's an interesting movie. Let's see. What about the new He-Man? No. Brian. Let's see. I'm the only one out here loving Lady in the Water. Okay, let me tell you something about Lady in the Water. Lady in the Water is film school. Like, it is kind of film school 101 in a way. It's such a bizarre movie, but you get to see things demonstrated in such a way that you can appreciate why people specialize in something. And in the case for Lady in the Water, I always felt like the acting was very all over the place. Like, Paul Giamatti is such a good actor. He literally clashed with the rest of the cast, and you could see it. And so it was a really interesting examination of that for me. And I don't mean that to, criticize them too badly, because I don't think a lot of those people were necessarily actors, and they were just doing their part or trying to make that movie happen. But yeah, it's a super bizarre, weird movie. I don't know that I'd call it, good, because I don't think it's a well-constructed movie at all. But it has its entertainment value. I will give it that. it's not on the same level as like Neil Breen, which is also highly entertainment value, but that's like also something different. So I mean, movies have a strata, and I know nobody agrees on necessarily how to critique them because no one wants to hurt anybody's feelings, and I respect that, but also need to talk about how things are constructed. So that's where my 2 cents lives, I guess. Oh, Lady in the Water. That's a great description. Old, yes, I get what you're saying. Let's see. I liked Lady in the Water. Okay. Sam, let's see. Does the new Ghostbusters have Bill Murray in it? I mean, him as Bankman makes the originals. I thought there was some rumor. Yeah, I thought that was the case.
Like, they didn't want to say anything until he was actually filming.
Until he had actually shown up. Yeah, Bill Murray has like this ridiculous reputation, but you know, he showed up. Let's see. My audio just changed. Is it still bad? My OBS is still showing that it recorded. It's super weird. Finish all your Iron Kingdoms content. Does that include it? No, that's what I'm talking about, Brian. Like specifically our show. It needs to happen. There's a new edition of the Iron Kingdoms. Our show would do such a great like job of kind of filling in the early lore for that. It's gonna be really great. I promise it's actually happening. I still have it. Let's see. Fair enough. I can't wait to see more War Machine action. Yeah. Well, and this one still has miniatures, so. Didn't they say Dune is a 2-parter? Yeah. Priming finished. Congratulations, Thomas. Oh, Lady in the Water isn't good, but I love it. Freddie Rodriguez as Reggie Kills. He does. He did a good job. Entertainment, maybe. There you go. Let's see. It sounds quieter and a little compressed. I don't know where that would be coming from. I can turn up the gain a bit, but I don't want to, like, blow out anybody's eardrums either. Bloop, bloop. How's that? I don't know if that's going to be any better. I apologize, but it is coming through my same Yeti mic that hopefully has not already decided to break on me, because that would be crazy. Your audio is fine here in New Hampshire. Oh, good. I'm going to rely on Joe's assessment then. Thank you. New Ghostbusters Afterlife trailer has the voice of Dan Aykroyd in it. Nice. Did you hear that GW decided that no more fan-made animations? Yes, I did. Just in time for them to announce their Warhammer Plus with all their own animations. But, I was curious about that actually just today, and I went and checked on the Chaos Rising Kickstarter, which, for those of you who might not know, is Warhammer Fantasy fan film that they actually raised money for. They raised like £33,000 to make this fan film happen. Dave from Mini Wargaming is going to be in it. But it isn't completed yet. And so when that announcement came out, I was like, how's that affecting those boys? And so they put this announcement up saying, well, yeah, we know we'll have an announcement soon. So I'm waiting to see what happens with it. I'm really hoping like that can still happen. I don't know if they'll have to just like consider it parody, because at this point it's like no fan-made films. So anti-fan-made films are basically like what's left. So you can be satirical and parody it, but I mean, I don't know if they might just not get their feelings hurt and go running around copyright striking everyone anyway, but whatever. Wait, where are you doing War Hordes coverage? I'm working on Iron Kingdoms RPG. There's not the new one, but it's the old one. It's not gonna matter because the story is what's being told there. TV show. I've got episodes that are waiting to be edited, mostly because they're waiting on illustrations, which are also waiting on dioramas. And I'm also working on animatronics. So I'm just sort of all over the place, okay? It'll happen. But this is why you hire multiple people to do things and not have one person do everything. Here we are. Okay, now really good night. For work starts early. All right, Brian, get some rest, man. Good to see you. Thanks for popping in the chat. I'll keep you updated. I think I can still reach you through Twitter. Bills, I finally got to play some minis last week. 2 games of Star Wars Legion. More this Saturday. More to paint for a different list. That also can motivate you to paint whenever you actually have like a deadline because you are playing a game on a specific day or you have a tournament or something. That can do a lot to get you out of a hobby rut. Like, urgency. Most of the original Ghostbusters cast is in the new movie. That's what I thought. See, I read the Kickstarter for Nurgle Death Guard got shut down by GW. So, to their defense in that, I'm honestly shocked that anybody's crowdfunding funds for that. Like, I understand when someone makes a fan film of something and they've just done it on their own time and everybody donated their efforts or skills. But when you've crowdfunded for it, I feel like it's really hard to explain how it's not profitable or how you're not making money on it. And so that's where I could see it being problematic. Hey, Robert. Complexly simple. Ellie, I just happened to be scouring YouTube and saw you live. Hey, man. You keep changing your name. How am I ever supposed to know who you are? But good seeing you. Nah, Twitter's toast. Killed all social media. I do have your number somewhere. Well, Brian, you take care, ma'am. Stay sane out there in this world.
Man, that's no fun.
I don't blame him. Like, if I didn't do this, I don't know that I'd actually have any social media myself. Let's see. Nurgle Death Guard Kickstarter. Got me curious. I only knew about the Chaos Rising one. Now, it had already raised the funds, so... So I don't know that they could do much about it at that point, especially since they didn't try to shut it down way back when. So, we'll see, we'll see. Ouch. Alright, so... let's get back to some dry brushing. Let's get this gold on this cloak. We're only a few minutes away from yet another progress check. My goodness.
At least I have progress.
Wow, that blue got real bright. Let's see, I kind of feel that GW's behavior lately has been a real turnoff for a lot of folks.
I mean, it has.
It's really frustrating because the fan base tends to polarize on it. You know, it's not like there's, and Paul, I'm sure, is very familiar with it. You'll see these groups where they're like, good, they should be shutting everything down. Nobody should be touching their IP. And then you hear the kind of irritating mantra repeated ad nauseum of, they must protect their IP. It's like, okay. You know they tried to copyright Space Marine retroactively and sued, like, some random lady who didn't even know who they were. Like, they're kind of known for overreaching, so maybe we can chill out a little bit on the they're just protecting their IP thing. But, you know, yeah, I guess they have the right to do this thing. And it'll be interesting because they're going to run into a lot of... I think they're going to run into a lot of people who are just parroting them, and they're not going to like it because it's probably not going to be that flattering to them anymore, because now you can't be nice if you're going to make, any sort of... this is how I took it, so, I mean, I could be totally wrong. But you can't be nice if you're going to use any kind of imagery of 40K stuff. Now, I do wonder how that affects folks like Luton, who are talking about the history of 40K, and it's sort of educational, but it's like fictional educational. So is it educational? Kind of questionable. So yeah, the GW fan base can they overly defend this enormous company that doesn't care. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know, like, I got into, what is it? When did I start playing war games? Over a decade ago. It's like, the reputation then was that GW were a bunch of jerks. Like, what exactly has changed? So, to me, it just seems like GW is once again doing just the thing they always do. And people will still move on. Like, I think you're still going to see fan films. Let's see. Yep, I'm big into the anti-social media. Hey, Jeremy, welcome back. I'm complaining about social media in GW. Austin, I can't make more progress on my Hypatia until the glue dries. Well, that's all right. Just hang out and chat. I can understand their need to protect their IP, but they have not earned friends for how they do it. I listened to an interesting lecture about GW and how they were clever by opening up their IP for the fans to create with. That's going to be hard to put back in the bottle. Well, it's so much free advertising for them. It's sort of the argument with the whole cosplay thing. It's like, what benefit is there even to a company stepping all over people wanting to cosplay their stuff? Like, there isn't actually a benefit. And no, you're not really protecting your IP there. You're literally getting advertisement for it by fans. So that's also what a fan film would theoretically do. They are most likely just making it as a business decision to curate only the things they like and put that on their Warhammer Plus channel or whatever. I don't know why GW is making so much stuff limited. I think it's a bad business model, but I do think they have every right to stop people from making money off fan films. Well, making money off fan films is different than making fan films. They're not saying you can't make money off fan films. They're saying you can't make fan films, and that's different. GW, bad behavior. Say it isn't so. Right? I mean, this is kind of like the thing they were known for forever. Was it 5th edition War Machine? Like, War Machine became a huge game because GW pissed off so much of the fan base. They were like, screw it, let's see what else there is. And they found War Machine. Like, that ended up being the huge alternative, the popular alternative to 40K and fantasy. And it was kind of like an amalgamation. And don't get me wrong, like, Privateer is definitely their own distinct IP. They're not copycats or anything. It's just, like,
they benefited from GW being dicks.
They benefit. A bunch of war games did. I think Infinity did too. Malifaux did too. A bunch of them, because people didn't like being treated so poorly. And there were lots of stories about GW stores where the owners were not very nice to staff coming in. And then you had like some of the more discriminatory complaints where they were not very nice. And then in England, I'm pretty sure GW is a straight up monopoly over there. Like, they actually have to compete here in the States. So, I don't think the American audience was actually as, they didn't have to put up with it as much. So then they came out with, I want to say, 7th edition? Maybe it was 8th edition, when they were like, okay, guys, we're going to be nice again. And everyone came flocking back because, it is such a magical IP that you want to like. So, and then they're just doing the thing again. So, I don't know. It is what it is. I love my war games. I love my IPs, like, that I get to engage in. Don't let any of it become your world. Let's see. Fairbanks, surprised they haven't gone after Major Kill in his hentai calendar. I'm sure it's just a matter of time. Jeremy, I don't think they can or should give C&D to people that are not making money and just doing it for the love of the hobby. George Lucas, what is GW? Don't worry, Lucas. It's small fries compared to you, good sir. Let's see, I get the feels GW would sue the Tolkien estate at some point. Oh my goodness, just like... oh, that'd be something. GW has been successful in making their rules worse and worse. 100% agree that almost every new rule they make is worse. Oh, they've got to have some ups and downs. Surely the game hasn't gotten only worse since 1st edition. Games Workshop, aka the Evil Empire. They're just another empire. Like, they're just the big fish of England. So, I don't want to associate, like, evil. Because, like, they changed their mind. They were really nice and, like, welcoming for a while. And obviously talked to, like, Richard Bolin and, people who were participating in the community. And they do offer, I believe, support to different channels who cover their content. It's just... the thing you always have to remember with a corporation or any just sort of huge entity is one person is making like a decision that's probably pissed you off. And there's a whole bunch of other people that are not making decisions that are pissing you off. And they're trying to probably work around that jerk to still make people happy. So it's always like tumultuous at best. It's just when you see the overall thrust come out and they say, no, we're not going to allow this thing anymore. I think most people can probably rally behind that. It feels really unfair, but it's really annoying to see the split in the fan base where people are just vehemently protective of what seems to me like literally any decision GW makes ever. I don't get that. Like, you can be critical of something you love. It's fine. I mean, I love new Legend of Zelda almost more than anything. I never played the cel-shaded one because it pissed me off. Let's see, the next character to paint for Star Wars Legion. Lando, Han, or Chewie? Can't decide. So Chewie sounds like he'd be kind of easy. A lot of, dry brushing there. Lando seems like he'd be really fun. I don't know what the models look like. I would say Chewie or Lando. Wait, make Han wait. Mandragora, I remember when Mantic was the alternative to GW. Okay, yeah. Then they raised their prices so much that they were no longer better. I think model for model, you're going to find most of them are all kind of in the same category anymore as far as price goes. Fan animators are a frog and GW is a scorpion. Let's see, War Games, Games Workshop will not see my money until they bring back Battlefleet Gothic. Until then, I'll print my own. George Lucas, since COVID has made people remember or get time to do hobbies, has War Machine grown to where it's gotten bigger? So I don't know. During COVID, they pushed out their online platform Wartable, where you can play online, but it looks a lot like Vassal. It's just built for specifically War Machine stuff, so you don't have to load in all of the tokens. And I guess a lot of people are doing that. I didn't play that way because I like playing with little minis on a physical table, and I'm like a really cranky old lady about that. So I didn't participate in that part of it. I feel like it's leveled out a bit. Like, it took a dive. War Machine took a dive after Mark III. Bunch of people just left the hobby at that point because Mark III kind of hit around the same time when GW was going, oh, we're going to be nice again. So it was a double whammy because, Mark III, War Machine, the all-new War, Mark III, didn't necessarily address a lot of the rules issues that people who were on the fence playing wanted addressed. And so that was their opportunity to bow out. And then a lot of casuals left. So I think it took a dive for a while, and then it's kind of leveled back out. And I think it's starting to build back up again, but it's just a little bit more quiet. Calgary still seems to see a healthy group of War Machine players. I'm not totally sure of Albuquerque. The game stores haven't been super active until this month here in July. And I haven't seen much talk about it. So, I don't know. I think it's obviously done well enough for them to launch their new Warcaster game. And they've also put out Requiem. And I think Requiem is, in my little tiny world, I think that Requiem is probably their best bet for really kind of keeping their IP going. And I do seem to meet a lot of people who are excited about that. Oh my gosh. Holy cow. As a consumer, I'm running out of places to go. Yeah. Jeremy. So I had this argument with someone on YouTube last week. For the most part, if you're making fan films and putting them on YouTube, you're getting revenue from it. Ask the Star Trek community. No one cared about the Star Trek community making stuff until they raised over $1 million for a fan film and got an actual actor from the show. It was the only time Paramount came in and swooped in, and then they were overly harsh with everyone after that. I switched to Warhammer Horde years ago. Nice. GW was so bad I went to Mantic and Hordes. Then Mantic raised their prices past GW levels for the quality, and Hordes went V3 N times. Yeah. PP made mistakes with MK3. Neutering the fan forums because they didn't make Scorn mid-table was a bad move. Wow, yeah. Well, and they lost the magazine. I thought that was a tragedy. The magazine's really nice. I really can't get into GW games, just really struggle with the entry fee. I understand. They got hit hard whenever Anaxar was made, and they just did a Kickstarter making a boatload of cash to make a show, causing CPS to crack down on all the fan productions. Yeah. Out of those three, Han is lots of fun, lots of synergy between Chewbacca and Han. GW has an English accent. Of course it's evil. Okay, touche, Andrew, you win. So I never went to Kickstarter. I've lost 300. Oh, so I went to Kickstarter and I've lost 300 in games that never delivered and are delayed for multiple years. Eek. Now everything's STL and the companies are charging for one STL file what you used to pay for one mini. It's bad. Yeah, see, then that's it kind of getting crazy again. All right. Before I continue here, I'm needing to give a progress check here on the amazing work that Ms. Flo has already done to this Necron warrior. Oh my gosh, look at that glow effect. So, can you explain what you did, Flo?
Lots of layers, each smaller than the last. Lots of different colors of blue. I have 6 different bottles of blue in front of me.
Okay then. And all wet blending or what? Or you just do the thin layer of the
layers.
next?
Yeah, just thin layers.
It looks so amazing. It just went from totally black prime model to very dark blue, and now suddenly has all this definition. Oof. Oof, I love it. All right, 20 minutes, finish it up.
I don't have that much. I can't work that fast.
You're doing great.
The pressure.
You're doing great. Oh, I have an idea for 2 40K orc themed t-shirts. If I do, I'll hold a contest on how quickly I get a C and D from CW's legal department. Well, but that's if you're making money off it. Like, I get that. Anyone in Jacksonville, Florida playing War Machine? I don't know if anyone in the chat. Well, there was somebody else from Florida. GW, the company, has made U.S. retailers buy direct through them. Then they used that data to determine where they would put up their GW retail stores. Yeah, I mean, they are kind of an example of why America doesn't have, has anti-monopoly rules and unfair trade practices stuff. But, it's not to say people don't get around it. We have one GW store here in Albuquerque, and admittedly, they've been always very nice to talk to.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not like
they're there the other day.
Yeah, they're always very friendly. It's super far, opposite corner of town from me, basically, but very nice.
It only takes 45 minutes to get there.
Yeesh. Hello from Toronto. Hey, J-Hempt. Mandragora, prices are still $40 for a starter box for their skirmish games. How is that more expensive than GW? You can be critical of something you love. Oh, gosh, yeah. Hi, Jake. I'm never going to buy a 3D printer. Are you kidding me? Who thought that would be a thing? But now with all the Kickstarters and Patreons now, there's no place for reasonable minis anymore. Well, you still have the boutique places. I mean, because you're right, not everyone's going to own a 3D printer. And even if you own a 3D printer, there's still the fact that you have to deal with mold lines, bed leveling, any of the maintenance associated with it. No, you don't always buy a car buying it as a kit to put together. Sometimes you just want the finished piece. So I think there's always going to be places for that. If anything, I wonder if it's going to create more of a cottage industry of specialty places. Because you have the company that does Toughest Girls in the Galaxy and a lot of these alternative sculpt places. The thing is, they're all going to be resin due to the cost of making something like plastic models, because the molds for those are, 10 to 30 grand a piece, depending on how you make them. So until those costs come down, you can find them, but I think they're always going to be sort of these small companies. You're probably going to end up waiting to get the stuff. But that's not to say that they don't have options, I guess. And yeah, I mean, Kickstarter has been, I guess, a mixed bag. I've had pretty good luck on Kickstarter. Something being delayed doesn't mean a whole lot to me, and I haven't really bought board games through there. So I know that it's probably really frustrating for some people who are really excited about a game and don't want to have to wait, because miniatures can be kind of complicated to make. But, and I can see why a company would want to do all that through Kickstarter too, because you get capital to actually do the production there. So, it's a mixed bag. But I think there's always going to be alternatives to just 3D models. There's even companies out there that'll just you send them the STL file and they'll print it for you. And so I could see there being a lot of finishing services too for you. Mandragora, I started Veerman on Warpath. I paid $100 and got a rude army of rats. Now I want to get newer models. They're still releasing. It's not Warpath. It's Vanguard. $12 per. Whew. Can't wait to run Requiem games. Oh, I know. You're up in Canada? Thought you were in New Mexico. No, I am in New Mexico. I'm in Albuquerque. I don't touch Canada if I can help it. But I have a lot of friends up there, and it is pretty, I guess. Let's see. The $12 model from Vanguard are full resin, not their rustic cast miniatures. Oh, so it's like the different... Well, I mean, there's still, like, Reaper coming out with a bunch of models, too. I mean, don't they have their Bones line, too, which is supposed to be specifically inexpensive, and they have a ton of options.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see. 480 still gets you the base faction for Vanguard. I love Mantic. It's by far the best company I've ever personally dealt with. Aw. That does look amazing. Oh, yeah, there we go. Here's all the oohs and ahs they finally saw.
You're like, oh, yeah, no, this is what I was looking for.
Nice blue glow. Looks good. Is he going to get lightning bolts on his shield?
I have to talk with DJ over what he wants. I know that he wants green glow, and that's all I know.
Green glow behind the blue, or?
So, like, his eyes.
Oh, I see. What's powering him?
Yeah.
Good work on that model. Finish my work for tonight. Have a good one, folks. Bye, Joe.
Bye-bye.
Jean, I pay for my entire hobby budget by using retail arbitrage to buy and resell models from everyone who is abandoning a hobby or a particular faction. Looks like a lot of work, but I'm glad it works for you. Mac Attack, nice work, Flo.
Thank you.
You can get 3D printed minis off Etsy. Oh yeah, that's right. That's a whole market there too. Thomas, I've had good luck with Kickstarter so far, but 2 campaigns I backed, I was one of the lucky few to get the minis. According to Kickstarter, I'm a super backer. I've never been ripped off, although I'm still waiting for the second half of my Rampage Dungeons order. Well, yeah, if they're gonna fail to deliver completely, then it's bad Kickstarter. If they're just late, then that is the nature of Kickstarter. I mean, because you're just dealing with individuals who are trying their hand at making this business work. And so you're dealing with a lot of small companies, barring, Cool Mini or not making a bunch of stuff. The Reaper Bone stuff has a small problem with paint sticking to the larger models. Sticking or not sticking? Because that sounds like a resin, a release agent on the resin that needs to be washed off with like a alkaline solution, like a Cascade. Cascade detergent's really good for getting that off.
They do say ready to paint, but it's not. It never is.
No. Yeah, I never trust that. Like, any of my stuff I get gets bathed first. Come on, we're not savages here. Mantic has doubled their prices but kept the same quality level. I speak as a guy who owns multiple of their resins and plastics and rustics and mixed metal kits. Okay, so you can kind of actually just compare them all. Oof. The Reaper, okay. For the D&D fans, there's a 3D printer file for every monster in the Monster Manual available free online. I wash my minis in rubbing alcohol? Like the resin ones? I mean, I guess that's okay if you wash it immediately, but I thought rubbing alcohol will dissolve it. Because you use rubbing alcohol, or 100% acetone. No, it's acetone, not rubbing alcohol. That's what I'm missing. Acetone will eat your minis. Be careful with that one. Alright. So, got a little bit more detail here. I think I need to get a little bit of blue painted into these runes. Yeah, I think that's what I want to do. Which color did I use here? Probably the Signar blue base would be my guess. Yeah, for sure. Bill's Fish, are you talking about the Bones Black or the standard Bones? Oh my goodness, I didn't even know there was another one. I was only familiar with the standard ones. So priming models question, what's the ideal temperature and humidity? All my stuff lately here in Georgia has been fuzzy. Okay, that could be a bad can. We use Krylon primer here. And we've had some problems with fuzz, but it was because the can itself is bad. But I live in a nearly zero humidity state, so
Yeah.
we don't have those sorts of problems in general. But what is it? Temperature probably above 50, maybe above.
Ideally above 60, below 90, I would say.
Yeah. Above 60, below 90?
That's what I said.
Okay. So 15 above 15 degrees Celsius then for my European folks out there. And then it's hard to handle the humidity stuff because you need the ventilation. So on the one hand, you're probably going to be outside. If you have the option of one of those neat boxes, like those airbrush boxes that what am I saying? Those airbrush boxes that help vent out for you, that vent to the outside, but you can stay inside. You might try putting in one of those because that should keep the humidity on its own a little bit low. Because then you can dehumidify or put a dehumidifier in there if that's really a problem. But a lot of times the rattle can will have instructions on the best usage for it. So go with the manufacturers, whatever. Like single digit humidity, yeah. Nah, fuzz is usually humidity. Or a white, can you only shook for 5 minutes? Go for 20. There is the other thing, yeah. Like you do need to shake those rattle cans quite some time before they're going to truly work very well. So you might even just sit and watch like a TV show while you do it. It's crazy how much shaking it needs. Miniac did an interesting video on the rattle can priming in cold weather. Oh, there you go. Let's see, the Lich Guard that Flo is working on has a green glow behind the shield parts. On the shield parts, some people have lightning bolts coming out showing it deflecting shots. I always wanted to paint them, but I don't know how.
I have not tried my hand at that, so I can give no definitive advice.
You also want to consider the temperature of the model and the can of paint. If you walk outside from an air-conditioned house, the model and paint will be cool in the warm air, yeah, that's fair. I've had problems with rattle can clear sealers not drying. I've had to go over to airbrush to apply all of my sealer and even primer. Whew. Paul, I have to prime everything black to be safe. Yeah, I guess that's the one nice thing about living in the super arid desert. That is generally not a problem. Even when there's actual humidity in the air, it's never
that bad.
Because we're on our wet season right now. Sometimes
it's monsoon season, which means we get thunderstorms every so often, and sometimes there's rain.
And it's all the rain you're gonna get for the year. The other factor of that. But hey, we get flash floods. Apparently, we have pretty amazing
lightning storms.
We do have amazing lightning storms here. That is a true fact. But we also have amazing water management systems here. We've got enormous arroyos that catch that water. It's always crazy to see those like torrenting down the middle of the city.
And you'd be surprised how many people don't know to not be in them.
Well, they're dry most of the year, so yeah, it doesn't surprise me hardly at all.
Well, during this time of year, you stay out of them. At least when there's a flash flood warning. Yes, here I go, expecting people to be less moronic than they are.
Well, gives the world its unique charm. Alright. Okay, 1:30 in. I have to head out. Happy to spend time with you, Miranda. So nice to hang out with you, Mandragora. Thank you, man. Pictures posted to my Facebook per usual. Have a good night.
Night.
Is the paint flaking off or rubbing off? It looks like the paint is bubbling up. If it looks like the paint is bubbling up, then it's definitely a problem with the release agent on the Mini. My biggest hurdle with spray can painting is getting the cat hair cleaned off the models before painting.
I feel that. I feel that in my bones.
I don't get how you're saying that Mantic is double their prices. You guys can have that argument. Let's see, Magatech. Speaking of deserts, what is the #1 cause of deaths in deserts? Well, if it's not dehydration, then I know in New Mexico we have like the most deaths by lightning strike in the U.S. Let's see.
If it's New Mexico, you're more likely to die by being murdered.
Yeah, we have. For New Mexico, it's the murder, right? But let me see here. I hope to have, well, for Albuquerque specifically, but let's see. I'm hoping to have some minis finished this weekend as I'm on vacation. Oh, enjoy your vacation, Thomas.
Yay, vacation times.
George Lucas, I have to head. I have to work in the morning. I hope to be able to tune in again. Got more Navy work to do. All right. Thanks, George, for hanging out. Have a great night.
Night.
Andrew, barely hit 100 all July, Midland. Had more rain than we know what to do with. Watching Nor'westers melting about 90s makes me laugh. Oh, I know. The weather's been super weird around the state. See, one of the biggest issues folks seem to not consider is the surface they use to prime. Rattle cans kick up dust from the previous primes and will get a powdery sand or finish. Always prime on a clean surface. Boy,
Way to fail, Miranda.
I have what's basically a science experiment outside right now. Oh, I feel that in my bones too, Flo. Heat stroke is a killer in Utah. Oh, yeah, I bet. Well, really? Utah seems way more balmy than New Mexico. Hypothermia. Drowning. I love everyone's guesses. Thomas, keep that cat from wandering outside while stepping out to prime stuff. Drowning is the #1 cause of deaths in deserts around the world. Okay, I guess just because of the flash flood.
They don't know how to handle water.
Yeah.
What's that wet stuff? What do you mean you can drown in it? What's drowning?
Funny enough, one of the biggest cause of deaths in the desert is hypothermia because they don't prep for super cold nights. I can't imagine this is the case of people who grew up in the desert because you know all that stuff already. Lungs filled with fluid. Yay! Well, on that plucky note, I think we're gonna call it tonight, fellas and ladies and anyone else who's in the chat. Yeah, thanks. Thanks for that super bizarre change of conversation. Man, I gotta talk about Old. I didn't talk about Tomorrow War, but it's okay. Old was more movie-like, and Edge of Tomorrow was kind of like a 90s movie, so not bad if that's your thing. Here's the progress I made on Eel Cloak. I was kind of expecting to do more. So I'm gonna clean up the details around the runes, but I wanted the blue in there, and then I'm probably gonna dot a little bit of the lighter blue in there just to make it look a little glowy, and call it good.
I will hand mine over in 2 moments here.
Yes. That'll be the exciting part.
There you go.
Identify as a goblin. Alright, and goblins. Alright, here we go. So there's some of that green coming in now. Whee. Oh my gosh, Flo. God, you make me look like an amateur. That is beautiful. Look at those colors. Look at his face and that green coming out and the gradient off the black primer on the hoses over his stomach there. Woo-wee!
I have had like half a year of practice on different models. I find it a lot easier to do this when they're all put together because I can decide where I'm kind of putting the light.
Oh man, you look so cool. Oh, that glow is so exciting.
Yay! Well, I'm glad he's turning out well. I could have totally botched it, so...
You got it.
I was like, I'm going in.
You got it. Okay. Good night. Tomorrow War was way better, by the way. Thanks, Jeremy. He's always like, throw that in there and leave. Nice work on your paintings. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Hope you all made some progress tonight and feel a little bit energized, hopefully. A little bit motivated. I think you got a little bit of progress done. Great check. And the Cloak and Necron both came out superb. All that green painted in 20 minutes, right? Super impressive. All right. Well,
all that, I mean, considering the size of the model, it's not very much.
Either way, we appreciate you guys being here. Thanks for hanging out. Thank you, Flo, for coming over and hanging out. And
I love being here.
and yeah, we'll be back in 2 weeks. So August something. That should be exciting. Be at the end of our rain season. So nighty night, folks. Have a great one, and we'll see you in a while or a couple weeks. Bye.